Beauty.
Hey, what's up, guys? Don't let that sun fool you outside today. It's freezing cold out there, but we're gonna have a great day. We've got a few trees to cut, one that's on an overhead guy wire, and we've got 4 poplars that are within the vicinity of 7,000 volt line that a customer had hired a private contractor to remove. So what we're gonna do today, we're gonna strap on the helmet cam, we're gonna get some GoPro footage, and we're gonna try out the brand new Milwaukee utility pole saw. It's about -6 degrees out today, so we're going to get a real good opportunity to test out this battery saw in the cold weather. I've heard a few bits of negative feedback on battery saws from other brands in the cold, not functioning very well. So we're going to get a chance to try that. Also, we're going to be taking a few moments throughout the video to take a closer look at this Milwaukee telescoping pole saw. It's a really great product, and this is not a paid sponsorship. I love sharing this information with you guys when I find a tool that I can back 100%. You can see even right here, it's cutting through this 4-inch birch tree like butter. Our company has already decided to move forward with purchasing this battery chainsaw over the gasoline saws moving forward. I really encourage you guys to stick around for those moments in the video where we're taking a closer look at this product. Alright, so back to the job site. We can see right at almost at the tip of the blade there, that top wire, that's 7,200 volts. This tree to my right is coming down. It's within the 12-foot, every branch on it's within the 12-foot minimum approach distance for a non-qualified individual. You can see right here when I tap with my stick, I've got 2 5-foot sections. So my hands are about 10 feet away from the high voltage as I remove these limbs. The contractor that was hired to remove these is not allowed to work within this 12-foot minimum approach distance, except for that's not entirely true because he does have a certification to work within 4 feet, but he doesn't have all the proper equipment, the 20 kV rubber gloves, the tested hot sticks, the tested boom. So qualifications or not, he must still remain 12 feet away from that high voltage. So the problem here is we're not going to cut this tree for the customer. It's not a hazard to our lines. It's a healthy tree. However, we did have some heavy wet snow last week, and a lot of branches in this area came down with the heavy wet snow and did make contact with the primary. So we did remove all the branches that were in contact with the primary, as well as any trees we deemed as a hazard. However, the customer did want a little bit extra done, to which point they had to hire someone. These trees are on their property. It's up to them to remove them. So where they did do their due diligence and hire a reputable contractor to remove them, he contacted myself to ask what we could kind of do to help. So customers paying a lot of money to have these removed, not to us, but to the contractor. So what I'm doing is I'm removing any of the limbs that are within that 12 feet clearance, which eventually will be a hazard to our lines. We will have to deal with it eventually. So it's a big help to both us, the contractor, and the customer. Everyone's working together. It makes things just really easy. So basically these 4 trees in the stretch that the customer wanted removed, I'm going to make them safe for the contractor to work outside of that 12-foot clearance. The reason I keep switching back and forth between the hot stick and the sawzall and the telescoping saw is any of these branches that you can see them actually bouncing off the primary, I want to make sure I'm using an insulated stick and not this telescoping Milwaukee saw, which is, you got to treat it as a conductive piece of equipment. Hopefully Milwaukee does come out with a insulated pole saw eventually. Really hoping they do. But for now, we're using our 20 kV gloves. You can see I'm on the other side of the tree from the primary now, so even myself, I'm outside of that 12 foot, so I'm not worried about any part of this tree making contact with the primary. And I don't think I captured the entire cut. I think I cut it right down to the V of that tree. And at that point, it's about 15, 16 feet away from that primary. So it's going to give the contractor all kinds of room. Moving over to the next tree, again, the reason I'm cutting it right at the tip is if I cut that branch as a whole and it swings down and hits the primary and then makes contact with the neutral, we're going to get a major arc flash. So these little chunks, if they hit the primary, it's not a big deal. It's not something a utility arborist is allowed to do, but us as linemen, when we're tree trimming little tiny pieces, if they hit the primary, we have our tested equipment that we can remove them if one gets hung up. So it's not a big deal, but I'm basically removing any hazards to myself. You can see there that one really hit the primary, but I'm removing any hazards to myself so that I can use the Milwaukee pole saw. It's a whole lot easier to use a power saw than start hand cutting. But even though this is in fast forward at this point now, you can see it's still going through this tree quite effortlessly. So just remove a few more branches to make that top piece a little easier to control, as if I'm too careless it will still reach that primary line. So we're going to do a side cut and drop it down. Earlier you could see when I was doing my cuts, I was making them at a real sharp angle. The reason I was doing that is so the branches would fall straight down as opposed to tipping to the side like that when I just removed that sort of a snap cut. Pretty well at the limits of my boom here, so that's another big advantage to the pole saw. And as you could just see, my battery died, which I think I was about 40 minutes into the footage when that battery died. And this one you see on the screen here now, the Forge, the Lithium Forge XC 6.0 battery, that's what I'm using today. This has the supercharger, and this 6.0, even though it's much smaller than the 12 amp hour and even the 8 amp hour, it has, the Forge version of the 6.0 has just as much of a capacity as the 12 amp hour. And the real beauty is this guy's completely dead right now. They claim it'll go up to an 80% charge within 15 minutes. So I've got this supercharger with 2 batteries. We're going to start it up. You can actually hear the fan powering up. So these things don't overheat because they charge up so fast. But obviously we're not going to sit and wait the whole 15 minutes. So I've got this at like 3,000 times the speed right now. And we put it on the charger at 11 o'clock. And I believe it's fully charged at 11:16. So literally 15 minutes, you're getting your 80% charge on a battery that's just as powerful as the 12 amp hour. So you can use this battery on virtually every Milwaukee tool that exists. And the real great part is when you have 2 of these batteries, you have a charger like that on your truck, you can swap back and forth between these batteries all day without missing a beat. You don't have to have 6 or 8 batteries sitting in your truck and 2 or 3 chargers. With this one single unit and the Lithium Forge 6.0 battery, you can go with chainsaws all day. So she's fully charged here now, and I believe the day that's in this footage, I basically went through like 2 Forge batteries, especially on this guy here. This tree was quite a bit bigger. It's softwood, so it cuts quite easy, but the butt of the tree was pretty well, the diameter was the same length as the blade on my saw, and I did cut it down to within a few feet off the ground, which I was pretty impressed. I didn't take out my gas saw at all on this guy. We used the Milwaukee pole saw throughout that entire job. So here I'm starting off at the bottom. The other location, I didn't want to cut a whole lot of trees around that was blocking the customer's view from the road. But typically when I'm removing a tree on the lines, I will start from the bottom so I don't get all those hangers. You get branches all hung up on each other. So I'm going to clear quite a few of these guys off the bottom so stuff doesn't get hung up. And then that wire you see there, that's a guy wire holding the primary line across the street. So it's not energized, it's tied to ground. There's an actual pole ground on the pole to my right, as well as the down guy. That's all bonded together, so we only have to use our leather gloves on this guy. But what you want to do, a few things. A tree like this, there's tension on that overhead line. You can see it's quite tight. It can be tricky to figure out exactly where your tension points are and the tree, which direction stuff's going to go. So you basically want to get all the top weight off the tree. So we're not going to cut every single limb. That top point, it's getting pretty small at this point. So we're going to knock that whole top piece off and relieve some weight off that overhead guy wire here. So just going out to my partner, let him know big chunk is coming down. And again with ease, no problem at all. And we're also, my right hand's about 7 feet away from the cut. So if that were to spring back a little bit, I'm out of the line of fire. Now, completely before you move it off the guy wire, you don't want to take it all in one chunk. You don't know, I mean, I'm assuming that's going to lift up towards me a little bit. There's some downward pressure on that guy. But you still want to take it off in little smaller chunks. You can see there's also one little nub right there. I left that on purpose to kind of make sure it remains hung up. It'll help the tree from moving while I'm shedding this weight off. So some of the last few cuts you want to do, you want to cut it down as close to the wire as possible without hitting the wire course. Now I'm going to remove that nub. I'm just kind of feathering the remote here a little bit. So I just got the tip of my saw in there, and I really do not want to hit that wire. Not only will it damage the wire, but it'll damage my chainsaw. So we've got the top completely removed, and we want to finish off with an undercut.
I'm going to do an undercut here.
A lot of times, I'll put a notch in the backside and help direct the way the tree's going to bend. In this case here, I'm going to leave the bark. A lot of times, if you leave the bark, it'll help that top piece fold over rather than fly up in the air like a slingshot. So again here, I'm really feathering the remote. It sounds like the saw's struggling a little bit, but I keep letting off the trigger because I'm waiting, kind of listening for some cracking in that piece of wood. And I'm hoping it's going to come off fairly gently. I don't think the tree's going to fall because it isn't broke, it is just uprooted. So it looks like the roots, especially at the frozen ground, are holding it in place. And it should let go here any minute. And okay, it's ready to come off. So hardly any shock loads at all to the wire, the pole, the equipment. That looks like it's grown over the guy wire, but it's just hung up. And then we're going to proceed to drop the tree. We don't want to leave that hazard close to the road. It could eventually fall, of course. So while we're here, we're going to remove these last few chunks of the tree, which, again, is pretty well getting to the wood of my blade now. No problem at all.
Let's just talk about it. Yeah, man. So this is the M18 Fuel telescoping pole saw. So this pole saw, what you're looking at right here, is the most powerful pole saw in the industry. It runs at 2.35 horsepower. That's 35% more than really the second leading competitor in the space.
That's insane.
So you're getting best in class power, able to take on pretty demanding applications. We'll cut this 8-inch ash log to show you that peak power.
Yeah.
It's also the fastest cutting pole saw. So this chain's going to spin at over 25 meters per second. That's by far the fastest chain speed of a pole saw in the industry.
Nice.
And it gets up to full speed in under 1 second. So you're getting instant throttle response as soon as you pull the trigger. Not having a pull start, anything like that. Truly best in class performance with all the benefits of battery.
I noticed it's super compact too. Like I could stow that in my truck.
Yeah.
And so much easier than a gas one. Like.
Let me show you something pretty neat. So we saw like a big challenge with pole saws is storage. Like, where do you put a 9-foot pole?
Yeah.
So we purposefully engineered this saw. The power had to be 6 inches or less, so it fits right into a 6-inch conduit carrier, no problem.
Man, that's amazing.
So it solves that challenge of having to have your own custom storage for a pole saw.
Nice. Oh yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, in all of our trucks now we carry a gas pole saw because a lot of the brakes we have, the trees 12 feet off the ground, back lot, fetched up in the wires.
Yeah.
It's just, you could spend 2 hours rigging ropes and stuff, or you can just cut it from the ground with pole saw.
For sure.
And like right now I'm looking at the top handle saw.
Yeah.
So I just got it a couple weeks ago. I featured it in a video there.
Nice.
And a huge advantage to the top handle pole saw.
Yeah.
Power's out at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
We're not waking people up running a professional saw in the backyard.
Yeah.
And you don't just carry gas.
Yeah.
I might not get a tree call for 2-3 months. And I'm putting stale gasoline in it. Like carburetor's getting gummed up, like from old gas sitting around.
The gas like expires when it's gone.
Yeah, exactly. And all of our tools, we run Milwaukee exclusively for all of our tools now, just because they are the best, like no question. So you add that to the fleet, we already get all the batteries.
Yeah, we're getting gas off the truck.
Yeah, some more gas. Nice.
Yeah,
I like it.
We have a gas competitor. I don't know if you would want to do a head-to-head or just cut with this, but basically this is the most capable competitor in the space.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a 36cc gas pole saw.
Okay.
This guy all primed up? Should be. You may need a cold...
Can I get the battery one, please?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, run with the paint on the ground. I already know what brand that is. I can feel it. I just let that pull its way through.
Oh, yeah.
All right, on three. Yep. 1, 2, 3.
Not bad.
Man, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, one other thing I did want to mention, if you're looking for this saw, there is another version of the saw that was released. I believe it was a few years ago. I went out and purchased virtually every product Milwaukee had to do my yard work. Not only do I use it at work, but I use it at home. Even this power rake, it's crazy powerful. But you can see all these attachments, the aluminum rod that fits into the motor piece. That's what the original pole saw came on, which great for homeowners if you're using it to trim bushes and stuff around your yard. But this new telescoping pole saw, it's got a much more rugged build. If you're going to be buying one of these saws to use commercially or to use as a lineman, you do want to make sure to get this version right here. It's much more rugged. It'll withstand the use and abuse that linemen put into all their tools. And this here, another thing I forgot to mention, where it is telescoping, obviously. This is my 12-year-old son here at an extremely awkward angle, and yet he's still able to easily extend the saw, which does extend another 4 feet to a total length of 13 feet. When the saw arrived at my house, the blade and the chain and stuff is off. So there was a few parts I had to put together, and I ran downstairs to get some wrenches and screwdrivers and stuff. And I completely missed this. The chainsaw wrench, it's mounted inside the battery compartment here, which I was kind of puzzled at first that it didn't include this one piece. And I totally just noticed it actually while filming this video. And it locks back down inside that handle, stays clear of the battery. So that was kind of neat. So when you do order the saw, it literally comes with each and every piece you need. So back to the first job site, I did want to cover this one more tree. The first few I cut, I was on the back side of the primary in the customer's driveway. This one here, I'm going to be working from the road, and I'm going to be working through the primary, over top, underneath, between the primary and neutral. So I did want to add a little bit more protection, and I grabbed a piece of hard cover up. Right now we're using our grab all, and we're going to cover the primary right up, because that tree right in front of me right now, I'm going to be cutting that down about 15 feet or so. And if that falls towards me, makes contact with that primary while it's still connected to the tree, it could result in an arc flash. So just a little extra bit of added protection. And then we're going to use our tested hot stick again, of course, to remove that. I believe when I'm way up high here, I'm pretty well reaching the max reach of my boom track here again. But some of these top branches, no problem to use the pole saw. I'm plenty clear of the primary. I'm just going to take off some small little pieces here. But once I get down to the main stem, I will absolutely have to use the insulated hot stick again. This is all stuff that only certified utility arborists can do, by the way, guys. Definitely not homeowners, and even guys with loads of experience. If you're not authorized and certified to remove trees within that 12 feet of the high voltage, then you've got to call the local power company, let them know what's going on, what you're doing. In fact, they're probably not gonna let you do it. But like in this case here, it was a very reputable arborist that was looking to have these trees removed, and I told him if we're able to help out, we'll try our best. I had a second guy with me today, and I was passing through the area anyways. It took me about 45 minutes to remove those 4 treetops. So again, as I said, it's a big help for the customer, really good PR, great help for the arborist. We did have some of these tree tops come down and make contact with this primary when it snowed last week. And we're going to be back anyways within a couple of years for sure as these trees get bigger. So I was more than happy to help out. It was a great chance to try out my new saw. I do have to have a second guy on site with me when I use a power saw of any kind. So I had a second guy with me here today. We visited multiple sites throughout the day where there was some trees that I've been waiting to get the opportunity to cut that weren't quite emergencies. So that's all we got for you guys here today. I will leave some links to Milwaukee's website if you want to check out some more information on the telescoping pole saw. Thanks for stopping by, as always, guys, and always be safe.